Welcome into our Countdown to First Pitch interview series. This is the final one on the softball side, and I'm visiting with Coach Jason Anderson of Southern Arkansas University. His team has been picked preseason favorite for the fifth year in a row, his seventh year at the helm of the program. Coach, we got to go back to last year, as that's where I've started with everybody else, and I know we all want to forget that time, but I'm just curious and have questions as to what it was like for you and your program, the school in general, in March of 2020 when everything came to a screeching halt. The season came to an end. I mean, your team was 22-2 at that point. So take us back through some of those emotions and what it was like for you.
Man, what a week. I can honestly say it's nothing like – I've never been through anything like that before, obviously, and I'm sure not many coaches have. But we were riding a pretty good high. The NFCA poll had just came out, named us number one in the country that Wednesday or whatever. You know, we were on a 16-game win streak. We were, there was some talk around the country about things, this coronavirus was starting to catch steam. And it was, some other schools were shutting things down at different levels. And so we had just had an administrators meeting. Our athletic director had met with the head coaches, and he said, hey, we're going to play the games this weekend. We're going to take like a 2-week break. That was our plan. We're going to see how this thing plays out. So I come up to practice, nice day, sun was shining. We tell the girls, as of right now, East Central still scheduled to come here and play us this weekend. That's our plan. Then they take us a little 2-week break, and then we'll get back at it. And so we're going, and practice has started, and then I see something come across that the NCAA had canceled our national championships. All spring national championships have been canceled. And so my brain says, well, if we're not going to play a national championship, or if the NCAA is not going to have a national championship, we're not going to play any more conference games, I wouldn't think. And so, I mean, it just all hit. We finished practice, and I let them know at the end that had kind of been announced. And, I had 10 seniors on this team at that time last year, and there were some tears and there was some emotion. And it was one of the toughest conversations I've ever had to have to a team about that, a team that, like you said, is 22-2, and even all record aside, it don't matter how good you're doing at that point. I mean, even every coach having to tell their players that their season was over was just was tough. And then, of course, we had some administrator meetings, athletic director explaining what was going on. And there was just a lot of conversations that happened, a lot of tears, man. And it was just something I don't ever want to have to go through again. But I'm glad we've come a long way since then. Yeah,
absolutely. Even though some days it still seems like I'm in a 2-week break or waiting for the next thing.
It does.
Well, Coach, what did you do with all that extra time? Because I know you personally, and I know where you are that time of year. You're on that field. What did you do with all your time?
Well, of course, I think after there was a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts when it first happened, trying to communicate to your players and figure out what we're going to do. And I think after the couple 2, 3, 4 weeks of that settled down, you just kind of settled in, and I mean, you just kind of looked at a new perspective on life, and, spent some time with family. And then, of course, I've got kids. So about as June rolled around, when we would normally be recruiting, they started back playing ball again because some tournaments started happening in, softball and baseball tournaments. So I was able to just go be a dad, man, and watch those games and not have to worry about if I was missing out on being able to watch a recruit or not being seen as far as recruiting goes. So we were able to do that. And of course, we're keeping in touch with the recruits that we had coming in. And then September rolled around, and we were able to get back to some camps and stuff. So we just kind of did that. But man, I was just got a lot of projects done, and was able to just be a dad for a little bit and watch my kids play some sons that there's a lot of tournaments I might normally miss because of some other things.
Yeah. I've stayed pretty busy myself, as you know, and then we had our first child this year, and I thought, oh, this is what people do with their time now.
Yeah, this is it. Hey, and like I said, they did start that travel baseball and softball started back in in June roughly, I think, and I was able to go watch some games at the ball fields, get some times out and get in the sun. And after those previous couple months, it shut us all down.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the players then. Let's talk about this team, and I guess we should start with the seniors. Or anybody in particular you want to mention, but I do know that most of the teams are getting their seniors back for those that were able to make it work. Some of them moving on to different career paths. But tell us about your players.
We had 10 seniors, like I said. Of those 10 seniors, we had 7 that were starters or regular players, and 6 everyday players, and 6 of those returned. So we have 6 of our returning 7 seniors that that played, and then we have 8 of our 9 returning starters that played. So I think that was a big, punch in the gut for them when it happened, and when you're doing well. And some of them did put their lives on hold or decided to get a master's degree and to do things to come back, and some of them needed the extra year. So if you're looking for a blessing in disguise, I mean, some of them, probably would have needed a 5th year to graduate. So it was kind of fell in line for that. So all those girls came back. Of course, in the circle, you have Victoria Taylor and Sydney Wader. Those are your 2 previous GAC pitchers of the year that were both seniors last year, and they came back along with Elisa Favela, who is another pitcher for us. That, I mean, there's 99% of our innings from the last couple years right there, and so they all came back as seniors, and Elisa's going to be a big bat in our lineup for sure. And then Christina Hill, another senior that came back. She's gonna, play a little first base for us. Was in the outfield last year. Got Faith Otts. It's been a 4-year player for us here. Lina Suez is a catcher for us that we got in the JUCO route. And so we expect big things out of all of them. And I feel like I'm missing one of my seniors, but may have had them all that we got. I got the 3 pitchers, Lina, I got Christina, Faith, and so I think I got everybody lined up.
Yeah. Well, now in the video world of things, normally if you and I were on a phone call, we just stop.
Yeah.
May
not be able to look down and reference some things. So yeah, I got, like I said, those were returning starting seniors were those, and we expect big things out of them. They were all having great years last year, and we kind of been saying pick up where we left off. I mean, that's kind of been our motto since this thing got shut down. Is we're going to, when we get back going again, we're going to pick up where we left off. So these seniors are hungry, and I think they're ready to do that, and they're definitely going to give us an opportunity to compete at a high level.
Coach, one thing I haven't really asked too many other coaches, because I didn't want to go down too much of a compliance trail,
Sure.
But most of your recruiting for 2021 had kind of already been done, right? So are the rosters bigger? Do you have more players? How did
Absolutely.
that work?
I mean, you talked about the returners, but we brought in 4 Division I transfers, and we brought in 5 junior college transfers, and they went ahead and came. The junior college transfer kids were kids that maybe were done academically at the JUCO, so they went ahead and came and got their year back. And then we had some Division I transfers that we were already talking to, or either talked to, after this stuff happened and the transfer portal got hit. And so we went ahead and brought these girls in, and so we do have a bigger roster than normal, but we have a talented roster, and I think it's going to be that way for a lot of teams. Our depth is awesome, and I tell our girls that all the time. But I've said since day one, since we started coming back and realizing, hey, we're going to have a season in the fall, the team that has the most depth and that can weather the storms that are going to happen to us this year and can take the quarantine situations or the things that are going to hit the teams and have the depth to still fight through it and compete will be the teams that are standing at the end of this when we're talking about championships and things like that. So I believe that to this day, and I think this team is so deep. I mean, I'm as deep as we've been here in a very long time, and like I said, so roster size is a little big, so we're going to have to shuffle through that a little bit, but these girls understand. We're all in it for the same reason. We want to play softball, and we want to compete at a high level.
Right, yeah, I think that's the best worded advice I've heard is I've kind of just said, everybody's got to be ready, but you did it so much more eloquently the way you said it.
Hey, the team with the depth is where it's at. And I've preached it to our girls over and over. I mean, it's not about starters and backups anymore. You're going to get into 2 and 3 deep, and if you're not ready to go there at those positions, then it could put you in a situation that you may not be able to recover from. So
okay, so you're starting the season this week, and I heard from some of the other coaches that normally in Arkadelphia we would have the Mike McGee and Alveoli.
The Ronnie Hawkins.
Excuse me. The Ronnie Hawkins and Mike McGee tournament.
Yes.
Hosted by Henderson and Washita. But you guys are stepping in to kind of help host that as well to spread things out. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we did. We, obviously taking COVID considerations and all the protocols and things going to be in place. I got with Coach Martinez over at Henderson, and we started talking about putting this thing together, and a lot of the Lone Star teams are wanting to come up, and then we end up getting some Gulf South teams and some GLVC teams. But anyway, we're going to do it at 3 locations. That way you'll have no more than 2 or 3 teams each day, hosted by Washita. Of course, Henderson and Washita and Henderson are still the ones that are doing it, and it's their tournament, and they're going to do a great job like they always do. But we've just kind of used our field as a 3rd location, if you will, to get us some teams here so we can stay spaced out. So it's going to be a great 3 days of softball. We'll keep our fingers crossed of no quarantine situations and weather. You still got to deal with that and all that good stuff. But like I said, we were able to step up and help that and make it work for all of us, and it benefited everybody, that even the teams coming as well as us hosting it for sure.
Coach, you're in your 7th year at SAU, and this league is still fairly young. So 7 years in a league that's been around a little over a decade. That's quite a bit, and a lot of coaches have an identity with their teams. You certainly do with SAU, but you have an identity with softball and with the GAC for the way your team has played over the years. And I know you're trying to make sure some of those other coaches are identified and don't lose the legacy and identity that they had, and one of them being Albie Early. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, man. Coach Early was of course, when this league started, he's been a softball coach. He's been a basketball coach. He's been everything. And he was just a friend and a mentor to me. And what he was able to do there at UAM, it was a big time loss to our community and to our softball program. And so I want to show you something this year. A couple of years ago, y'all remember, I think Coach Early passed away, and we bought decals and we all wore them on our helmets in the conference. Well, this year, I think we talked about Coach Early, and then Coach McGee from Washita passed away a couple of years later from cancer, and another guy that just a tremendous loss to our sport. So at least for the Arkansas schools this year, I wanted to kind of show the little Mike McGee, Albie Early. It's got the Washita purple and the UAM green there. We're gonna put them on our helmets, and I'm gonna get some to Washita and some to UAM and some to the other Arkansas schools, so we can honor these guys, because there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world and just with all this crazy stuff, but you don't want to forget about them. I want to even a small thing to honor them a little bit, I think would be awesome. So that's what we're doing it for.
It may be the first time SAU blue and gold has ever had any sort of green uniform helmet. That's okay. You're doing a good thing there, Coach, and I think that's wonderful. So, Coach, I really appreciate the time today. I want to wish SAU the best of luck. Good to visit with you.
Hey, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it all as always.